Okay, hey guys, it's Rachel with Pretty and Plants. Thank you so much for coming back. Thank you so much for subscribing, and I'm just so blessed to have you as a subscriber. So we're in 2020, it's January, really my favorite month of the year. I love new beginnings, I love organizing. And so today I want to talk about semihydro goals, plant goals for this year. A lot of personal things I want to share with y'all. I just want to say this right off the bat. However, this year I feel like most of the shows are really going to be focused on semihydroponics and growing plants semihydroponically. Goal is this year I won't be vlogging. I won't be probably doing too many personal videos. This year we'll be really honing in on semihydroponics. I think that's my focus for the videos for 2020. Number two, had a Hoya in semihydroponics for over 30 years. And if I find her, I will be doing an interview with her. So that's the kind of thing I'd love to do this year. That's one of my goals, is finding people who know more than me about semihydroponics and interviewing them. I already have someone lined up to do Hoyas. They've put over 100 Hoyas into semihydroponics. So just so y'all know, that's kind of where this channel is going. That's what this year is going to look like. Number one personal goal, and it has to do with this leaf that greeted me this morning. Do you see that? You see that on the end? And you see that. This is my personal goal, people. Personal goal. Okay. Number one personal goal in semihydroponics this year
is to not overwater my plants.
This is what I do, and so if I'm doing it, I know you're doing it, is I get overly confident too quickly. So everyone, if you've watched my channel, I have a Charlie Brown fiddle leaf fig. It's a ficus. It's been in semihydroponics for 3 months. Ficus are very slow adapters, okay? Don't put water in the bottom of your ficus unless you want to just kill it as quickly as possible. So I know this, right? This is in here. I need it to come down into my heart. Every time you transfer something into semihydroponics, you're gonna have roots that die, and as those roots die, you're gonna have some leaves that fall off, leaves that yellow. That is normal. And I know this, okay? So I have my big one, but then I have a little ficus that's super cute. This ficus was gorgeous. It's probably 3 or 4 feet tall, so it's little, but it's not 3 leaves. And it is like a small tree, and right at the beginning, I overwatered it. If you overwater a ficus one time, it will be very upset with you. It may not die, but you have a project on your hands. So this ficus, I overwatered it, and all of the leaves just went poo, and I kind of freaked out. I took it out of its cache pot, dumped water, and then online I found it's an anti-rot solution for ficus. And in the comments, people were like, this saved my tree. All of the leaves were wilting, and then I gave it this anti-rot formula, and I'm like, bing, that's what I need. If you have something magic like hydrogen peroxide or anti-rot solution, do you give it to them while they're still wet? I think the answer is no. I think the answer is put a rotating fan on the plant and just try and get it dried out, because the wetness is what got it into this situation in the first place. And I'm talking about bigger plants. Smaller plants, you can kind of pull them out, get the roots off that are bad, put them back in. Some of my big plants, I feel like pulling them out it's too much. I'm trying to like treat them from above. So this particular plant, I let it dry out, and it's really hard because you're really tempted to water it because you keep thinking, ooh, it's getting drier, it's gonna die. I watered it. And when I watered it, because it was really drooping, it was starting to look like, okay, now it might be like dry. So when I watered it, all of the leaves fell off, except the top 5 leaves, and they perked up and got really excited about the water. And I've gotten 2 or 3 new leaves coming out of the top. Okay, so there's hope for this plant. It's reviving. And it was 6 weeks reviving process. Okay, so if you have a fiddle leaf fig, just like breathe deeply, because ficus are marathons. They are not sprinters. So, and ficus and dirt too. If you get a ficus benjamina from the nursery and it's gorgeous and it has 100 leaves, when you bring it home, it may lose every leaf. The leaves are perky. I can tell it's pretty dry. It is dry, and I water it. And this time when I water it, I just pour it on, sister. And I leave, you know, an inch and a half of water in the bottom. And then I leave it. I don't check the water. And this morning when I wake up, this gorgeous large leaf has fallen off of the tree. So, and I look in the bottom in the cash pot and there's like an inch of water. And this is a little Snoopy tree. Yes, it's 3 feet tall. It only has 5 leaves. It can't drink all that water. So, number 1 semihydro goal for me personally this year is to not do this. So, and before that plant is ready. So in semihydroponics, it's a slow dance. You want to do the dance. And every plant is different. The ficus is a very difficult plant. Like, if I were you and I'm a beginner, do not take on the ficus unless you are really confident in your ability with ficuses. Another goal, I guess personal goal number 2, I loved Bebee Plants last YouTube. She has put a bunch of things in semihydroponics, and then she did an unveiling. Y'all, go watch that show. I will link it down below. It's pretty. I just put it, so Bebee Plants has all of her stuff in jars. I love jars. The cool thing, if you've never done semihydroponics before and you want to start this year, I think it's good. I like what Bebee Plants did. She started in jars. She drilled a hole in the side. You just need a diamond drill bit. You drill a hole in the side so you can kind of let the water out. But the cool thing about jars is you can see the roots. You can see the water level. It's all exposed. The not cool thing about jars is when light hits the jar and that water, algae is going to grow in the jar. If a plant is not doing well, I'm gonna put it in a clear jar so I can watch it more carefully. I can watch the roots more carefully and the water levels. You're just better at water level. When the rocks are all dark, that means this is all damp up in here. And so, yeah, like maybe, see, I have a little water in the bottom and you know, I'm gonna watch it, but I maybe should pour a little bit out. Oh, this is a big one. I'm kind of casual and catching and dealing with plants more quickly. So your plants will tell you when they're not happy. And a lot of times I'm like, well, I think it'll pass. But especially with new plants, just like pulling them out of the LECA. It's funny, I have an alocasia. It's still adapting. And like realizing some of my plants take 3 days. And if you didn't see my last video, it's easy plants in semihydroponics. A lot of those easy plants, and adapting means happy. Like they were happy very quickly in semihydroponics. There's others that are kind of making up their mind.
Like alopecia.
Yes. So one of my alocasias, and I absolutely love this one, it just started drooping. Like they have these really strong things, and it's like, and so I kind of waited a couple of days, and then I'm like, I should check it. So I pulled it out, and I was like so excited over how many white roots there were, happy roots, and new roots. I was actually shocked. But there was just a few like straggly, nasty, it was too much water, and it was starting to kind of like not be happy, just beginning. And so catching it quickly, goal number 3, really important. And so leaves, you can just tell it's starting to wilt, it's starting to not be happy. You're gonna pull it out of the LECA, and I like to use gloves. I pull off the dead gray rotting roots. Any soft mushy root needs to go. Then you're gonna spray it with H2O2, which is hydrogen peroxide. I set the timer for 30 minutes, spray it with H2O2, let it kind of dry out. Let those roots kind of dry out with the hydrogen peroxide on there. The hydrogen peroxide is killing bacteria, and it's kind of giving the plant a fresh start. Because what happens if the rot starts setting in is now there's a bacteria in there, and the plant can't receive water, it can't receive nutrients because the rot is kind of taking over. So when you get the rotten roots off, then you also give it hydrogen peroxide, it's like, boop, you're giving it a fresh start. I let that kind of dry out. I spritz the roots one more time with a vitamin water, and then put them in the LECA. And what I did this time on that particular alocasia is I just ran some fresh water through the rocks, got the rocks damp. That's a watering. It doesn't have water in the bottom, but letting those rocks all be damp, that's water. But I kind of figured, okay, let the roots dry out with the hydrogen peroxide. I'm gonna give you a water, but it's not excessive water. And then I'll give it 7 days before I even think about watering again. One thing that really helps you on the 7-day period is just put a little stick in the LECA and put the date and say next water and the date. Not to acquire too many plants at once, or not to switch plants, too many plants at one time. Your goals should be not to over push yourself too much with semihydroponics, because if that plant needs attention, it needs attention now. So, sorry guys, my notes, I still like writing in a notebook, so I don't have it in my phone. Okay, yes, and my last semihydroponic goal, and this one might be a little aggressive, it's a personal goal for me, is I'd love to do a couple of fruit trees in semihydro. I have a balcony, and it's really pretty, and it's upstairs, and it gets really wonderful morning sun, and the sun moves. It'd be a perfect place for fruit trees. So sometime this year I will be doing that, but those are some probably like top 5, top 7 of my semihydro goals for this year. I love a lot about semihydroponics, but I'm gonna say this is one thing I really love, is not having pests. Because I feel like plants are frustrating enough to, there's a big enough learning curve with plants to where if pests were thrown into the mix, I would be like, you gone plant. You can't stay in my home. I am not having mites or fungus gnats. I'm not doing that. I just can't do it. So, and we have a new cat, and he's not treating the LECA like litter. This is so wonderful. This is gonna be such a good year. So anyway, question of the day, what is one of your semi-hydroponic goals? Have you transferred plants yet? Are you still standing on the edge of the mountain looking over into the world of semi-hydroponics going, I'm so afraid? And if that is you, get a plant for $5 from Lowe's, get one of your mason jars, and start. Just start with one plant, put it in the top of a mason jar, watch the water levels, let it really dry out before you water it again, move the jar around, try light. I did my jars, my practice plants were little cute ZZ plants. And as I know ZZ are kind of tough, like sounding for semi-hydroponics, but I love them. And they did so well. You could see these giant roots grow in 1 month down to the bottom, reaching for the water. So that was a really fun thing for me. Just this week, I took all of my ZZ plants. Make sure you follow me on Instagram because you're missing out if you're not following me. I took all of my ZZ plants and I combined all of my mason jar ZZ plants into one really pretty plant. And now they're on my fireplace, which is like most visible area in my house, and I love them. And so I hope this helps you. I hope you take the leap, the LECA leap this year if you haven't yet. And if you have, just be patient because there is a learning curve. It's amazing how many days I can go skiing on vacation and not think about my plants. And that's because they're in LECA. So that is my goal, and I hope that's your goal too. We will see you next time. Thanks for coming. Bye-bye.